Welcome to Quick Shots, a short format traditional archery podcast, where we introduce you to some of the world's most influential traditional archers, and occasionally, some random dudes. Hey everyone, and before we get started, if you like this content and want to support the channel, there are 4 easy ways to do that. 1, subscribe below. 2, like the video. 3, leave a quick comment. Or 4, if you really like us, please consider doing all 3 and tipping me at Venmo at Mick-Chambers. Even a buck or two goes a long way in helping me produce more great content like this. Thanks to all my single string family. Enjoy the show. Hey everyone, and welcome to Quick Shots. I'm your host, Mick Chambers, and we're here with Melody Richards. How are you doing?
I am so good. Hi, everyone.
Hey, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate this. I've been trying to get you on the show for a while now, so finally got you on the show. We kind of had some scheduling mishaps, but now we know where we are, and we're here, and we're ready to go. I'm excited to talk to you today.
I'm so excited to be here, and I'm glad that everything worked out just good in terms of timing.
Yeah, it's really good. Hey, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about who you are and what makes you tick?
Okay, so I'm originally from South Africa. I currently live in Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, and I am just passionate about shooting, passionate about traveling, passionate about life.
Yeah, and what about you?
Those are the 3 things that make me tick, other than my dog. I'm in love with my puppy. So
That's
there
good.
we go.
You do. I love seeing the traveling pictures that you put up. Man, this is like it's like a dream for me. I mean, all the stuff that you do, and I mean, you're living the life. I love it. It's really cool.
I'm truly blessed, and I do love traveling so much. So I always put it in whenever I can. I work a ton, I train a ton, and I travel a ton. So all the things that I really love, I try to prioritize, and I just do. I just go and I just do it, however that looks.
So how did you get started in archery?
So my story is not the same as everybody else's. It's a girl's story, but I was in California, and I was thinking about doing something different, because before I chose archery, I was a competitive Irish dancer, and I stopped competing Irish dance. And I was like, I wanted something outdoors, something a little bit more sports, like I'm walking, I'm in the outdoors versus competing indoors. And I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and I came across a Pinterest photo of a girl on the beach with a bow, and it sold me. I was like, I want to be that girl. I want to do that. I knew nothing about archery. I didn't even know what a bow looked like. I didn't know anybody. I'm originally from South Africa. I didn't, soccer is big in South Africa, not archery. And I found an association, Papago Association in Phoenix, Arizona, and they were hosting a beginner class. And I was like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to see if I like it. I'm going to go with an open mind and a good attitude. And if I like it, I'll stay. And if I don't, I'll keep looking for what I want. And it stuck. I started with the bows that you use, the borrowed bows. The ones that fall apart, and you're like, wait, what am I do? Where do I hold? And then I started right-handed, and I was actually a left-handed shooter, and I just loved it. I loved everything about it.
Really, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's an amazing story. What's this? Tell us what's going on here. United States of
With the
America.
United States. So I'm currently on the United States archery team for the Barebow division, the senior Barebow woman, and I'm currently ranked number 1. And I'm super proud of my shirt, because whenever I wear this shirt, I have to tell you, I'm so proud, because this signifies to hard work, dedication, and focus. So
it should.
Yes. And so this is exactly what it means. So whenever I put on this shirt, it's my trigger that, hard work pays off, staying focused and staying the course. So I'm proud to wear this shirt.
What a great story. Growing up as a young child, young girl in South Africa, moving to the United States, and now wearing the colors of the United States. I mean, that's a success story. Amazing.
My story is pretty interesting, because I left South Africa when I was 18 years old with $150 in my pocket and 1 suitcase. And now when I think about it, I'm older, I'm an adult. I left South Africa when I was so young. I think, my goodness, how did my mom let me leave South Africa? But when we have this conversation, my mother always says that she knew that I had the drive and the determination, and no matter what, I was always going to be okay. And I'm so grateful to my mother for having that judgment, because my life evolved so differently. I am the woman who I am today because I came from a strong mother.
Yeah, good. That's good to hear.
And I just had a conversation with my mother yesterday. She's 78 years old. And I just said to her, you know what, mommy, thank you. Thank you for showing us hard work, because, we saw it every single day. And every single one of my siblings is the same. We work really hard, and that's just innately who we are.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic story. I think we could end the interview here. That was amazing. I'm like, my heart is touched. It's so beautiful.
It's true though. It's really, really true. I'm really grateful for my mom. We came from a very hard life, extremely poor, extremely poor, living during apartheid. And so it was tough growing up, very, very tough. But you know what? My mom's attitude was, you get up and you start the day with gratitude, and you just take one step forward every day, just one step in front of the next, and you're good. You're moving forward. Right.
Yeah. No, that
and
is such...
so that was the same attitude that I had with archery. Like, I had no clue what archery is about. I didn't know anything. I remember sitting at the range at Papago Archery Association, sitting at the range, watching the other archers and thinking, one day I want to string a bow like that. Wow, those are my goals, like watching somebody string a bow was exciting. And then the next one was like, one day I want to have a stance like that and be so confident in my shot. It's so crazy when I think about it, because every time I string my bow, I think of that girl that was sitting on the bench watching the other archers and thinking, I want to be that one day.
Yeah. And you are now, you're a role model to other archers around the world, well, in the United States for sure. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Yes, and I am competitive, but I also practice being gracious on the line and recognizing that I was the person there not very long ago, because I only started in 2015. I started archery as a hobby, and then in 2017, I decided I wanted to be more competitive, because I have a competitive streak in me. And then that's where I was. And in 2018, I made the team, and then just went from there. Just setting goals and working towards understanding and learning, because archery is a learning process, right? We just learn every time. You think you know something and you're like, oh, really? I should know this. And then I'm like, no, apparently I don't. I'm gonna call my coach, YouTube something, call someone, right? So yeah, so that's
so you started off the right way though. I mean, you went to a club, you started at a club, and then, so did you have a coach at that time? Did you go actively seek out a coach, or?
I had no clue. So I just went there with the attitude of, I'm going to take their beginner class for 3 weeks, $75. I'm going to use their club equipment and see if I like it. And if I don't like it, I'll move on. And then as I progressed, and then I started doing pin shoots, and I started feeling like, oh, I'm getting a groove. I really like this. It stayed as a hobby. I started thinking, okay, I need to find somebody that's going to point me in the right direction. But barebow wasn't that common back then. So it's really like looking for a needle in a haystack in terms of a coach, because there was nobody was going to coach me for barebow. Everybody wanted to put a sight on my bow, and I said no, because when I originally started shooting, I shot with the sights right-handed. And then on accident, one of the club coaches gave me a barebow, because she was a barebow shooter, and I picked it up and I immediately felt at home. I was like, oh, this feels right for me. And that's how I started shooting barebow. And how I learned that I was a left-handed shooter was I went to a gun range shooting guns, and the guy was like, what are you doing? You're left-handed. And I was like, wait, what? You're left eye dominant,
Yeah.
And that's how I figured out that I was a left-hand shooter. And then from there, the barebow, the left hand, everything just came together, and I felt at home. with my bow, I felt like I could exhale, like, USA, I found it. And then I just started building from there. And then I looked for a coach and I used the club coaches. And at a point, I realized that if I wanted to be more competitive, I needed to go to the next level. And that's when I searched and I found my coach, Mel Nichols, who I love.
Nice. And then, so what was that? So continue that journey for me. Like, how did you get onto the US team?
So, okay, let me tell you the story about finding my coach really fast.
Yeah,
it's a fun
sure.
story.
Yeah.
So I met a girl and her husband owned a club here, Ross, like an archery shop. And she's like, oh, Mel Nichols is a coach that coaches. And I was like, Mel Nichols, I didn't know anything because I'm a newbie in all of this, right? And she's like, here's his number. Maybe, maybe he coaches barebow. You could just ask. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was nervous because he has all of these accolades. And I thought, oh, like I'm a newbie. I just learned how to knock my arrow to my bow, like, all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know. He's like an Olympic coach. He like has all these accolades. And I called him and he said, you know what, we're really busy. Our club is really busy right now. We're getting ready for the AZ Cup. He's like, but come out and check us out. And I went and I saw him coaching on the line. He was coaching Brady. They were having a chit chat. And I took a photo of the two of them standing together.
Nice.
And every day I looked at that photo and I said, that's going to be him and I one day.
Nice.
And then 6 months later, I sent him a text message back and he goes, I'm ready for you. Wow. Like, you can come.
Wow.
And I went to him and he didn't coach barebow before, like consistently. And there I was. And I've been with him since 2017. And then we just worked really hard. He changed up some things. He just supported who I am because every archer is so different. Mm-hmm. Nothing is the same. Okay, we have a bow, we have the fundamentals, but every archer is the same. And I appreciated that, especially coming from a dancer's perspective.
Yeah.
The dance is the same, but it's different for everybody interprets it different. And I'm a firm believer about archery. Archery is the same way. We stand different. Our bodies are different. There's so many different things. So what works for you might not work for me. Our body mass, the way we look, everything is different. And that's what I find so intriguing about archery, Yes, we have a bow, we have an anchor, we have arrows. Like, okay, those are the fundamentals, mm-hmm. This box that we have. But everything else that goes in the box is fine-tuning who you are. So you really have to connect with who you are as a person, mm-hmm. to figure out your vibe, figure out your flow within that moment. That's what worked for me. When I figured out my flow and I stopped listening to everybody else and coach and I just focused, it was game on for me. I felt confidence. I felt good. I felt empowered. I felt like learning was on the next level. And that's what I love about having a coach.
That's amazing.
And don't get me wrong, we have our moments where I'm just like, why did you change that? I was doing so good. And he's like, shoot the way I told you. And then next minute, I'm like, X. And then he goes,
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer in having the right mentors. I'm a firm believer in having a coach. I'm a firm believer in, being aware of who you are and finding the people to be your tribe to get you where you need to be. And I've learned that very much the hard way. Mm-hmm. Like I had my coach at the beginning, I wouldn't have had the bad habits.
Yeah.
I would have learned things a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And I would have understood things a little bit better. I would have jumped further, boom, versus, going that hard way. And it's fine because it shaped who I am today.
Yeah.
So I love my coach, and Pineapple Archery is my Joad club that I shoot with. And I love them.
It's good. Giving back a little bit to the community. I love that. So then,
yes.
So you're working with this amazing coach. You're finding your groove. You're in your tribe and you're getting comfortable. Now, what was that next step to get you to, that level where you're ranked number one?
I made the decision. I decided one day that this is a goal that I want to achieve, and I am willing and able to work for it. And that's what I did, because nothing just comes handed to you.
No.
It's not going to be the most amazing sunny day with everything falling into place at National Target Archery. No. So I decided whatever it was that was going to be thrown at me, I was going to take my power back. I was going to have the power. And I knew, I was so confident in my coach that he was giving me the right tools and the right training, that together he saw my goal and he said, we're going to get you there, Mel. And I said, I'm willing to put in the work. I'm here to work.
So
and that's what I did.
Hard work and trusting the process. Beautiful.
Hard work and trusting the process, and just having fun too, because I love it, right?
Oh,
I really
good.
love it.
Yeah.
When I hear the arrow hit and I'm just like, yes, it's on the target. Yes.
So do you just shoot target archery, or do you shoot 3D, for example? Or
I love 3D. I don't shoot it that often, but I want to get more into it. I did train for it when they were doing the team trials a couple years ago. They did team trials with Fawn, but I didn't end up going. Time didn't work out, but I love 3D and I really, really love field. But then again, I love to be outdoors, and that's what really brought me into archery, was the fact that I'd be outside. I'm a nature girl. So I love it. I love field.
Hey, why don't
if I was to rank them, it would be field, target, 3D, and then indoor.
That's awesome.
That's where I'd be. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that will do what you love, right? Hey,
right.
Let's move on just a little bit. I want to talk about your equipment and what you're using to. What did you land on?
I have it right here.
Okay, cool.
So I'm on Team USA. So I decided that I was going to be sponsored by Hoyt, because that's part of what we have. So I have everything here. I have my riser. This is the Formula riser.
Nice.
This one, I did the teal because I wanted to change up my colors. I have the Hoyt plunger. Let me see. And I have the Villos, my limbs, and they are long. Okay. And they are 38 pounds. And I decided that 38 pounds is where I want to be. Wow. I'm not really keep going higher and higher in poundage. Once I find my sweet spot, that's where I'm at. I'm really loyal to that. So I'm really good here. I don't feel like I need to go anywhere else. So I'm at 38. And then I have a Black Mamba tab, and I have two different arrows that I'm currently using, my nanos. They are Spine 600, and then they have the ACEs, which I'm trying out to see how I enjoy them. Good. So that's pretty much my setup, and it seems to be working good for me. It's I'm loyal to my stuff. So once I get into a groove with my stuff and I feel good, I don't chop and change very often. So I don't have like a degree of comparison very much.
No, that's good. Probably the worst advice you could get is do something like I do and have a bunch of bows, because everyone's your favorite. And then you start shooting, okay, I'm going to shoot this one this week. And you never get really good at one thing, right? You never get really good at one thing.
I totally get that. It's, but what can you do? I want to get to your level though. I want to be like in sync with all of them and know like this does this for me, this does that for me. But for now, this guy is good for my outdoor stuff. Mm-hmm. And I want to get a setup for field, because field is a little bit different, right? Because we do so many different meters, different distances. And so I want to get maybe that. So I don't have to change so much.
Cool. So, hey, talk me through your shot process. What are the steps that you follow?
So the basic 10 steps, right? The basics, the stand, knock. I have a process where I walk to the line. The minute I touch my bow, when the whistle blows and I touch my bow, something switches in me. It's just, for me, it's a trigger that says game time. So I could be laughing and having a good time, cracking jokes, which barebow archers are always doing.
Yeah.
Once I touch my bow, it's like, okay, I immediately get into USA mode. And then I pick up my bow, I walk to the line, and then I line up my feet. Everything needs to be lined up accordingly. And then I check for wind. I always check for wind. I always check for shadows because it's just a field thing predominantly, but it always works for me.
Mm-hmm.
This all happens before I even touch my arrow. So I check to see what's going on. I scan everything, and then I make my quick decisions. I need to do this. I need to aim here. I need to switch up a few things because of the wind. And right in that moment, once I made the decision of what my game plan is, I pick up my arrow, and then everything is a blur.
You're in the zone.
So everything is a blur. So if you ask me what I did, it's almost as if I black out.
Wow.
I know it's really strange to say, but like my boyfriend would be like, do that again. And I was like, what did I do? Wait, what did I do? It's terrible. I know. I'm not good. I'm not good with advice with that. I kind of black out. But I mean, the general stuff is like, you knock your bow, you come up, you anchor really good. I anchor on my tooth.
Okay.
And then I stay in that for as long as I possibly can. 3-4 seconds. I aim, arrow tip. I use my arrow tip to aim and then go. A lot of people, I'm sure if you chat with a lot of people, they'll tell you that I'm a fast shooter. I'm very instinctive with stuff, and my coach is working with me to calm down, settle in. But I'm a very instinctive person. I'm a very intuitive person. I use my gut for everything, you know. It's kind of like when you're shooting in field and the wind is going on for days. You just got to make the decision, figure it out, go. You can't sit there for the next 3.5 minutes holding. And, you know, it's just that instinctive shot, get it, go. That's what I do.
Okay.
And sometimes I'm like, I needed to slow down that shot. And I have been working with it, especially for target. And it's definitely work in progress, you know,
Cool.
because I can't have anything coming to my mind. If I hold too long, I'll be like, oh, what vacation am I going on next? Was that an airplane coming from Hawaii? I wonder. So before all those thoughts creep into my mind, it's got to be gone, you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
I think we're all a little bit like that. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Hey, just so with all your experience and with all this, and it sounds like you kind of get in a zone, but if you could give one piece of advice to, you know, someone who's starting out, someone who's listening to the podcast, and really doesn't have your experience, what would you tell them? What's the one thing, what's the one piece of magic that's going to help them become a better archer?
I think to find the right coach, to find a good mentor, somebody that's going to teach you correctly the first time. I'm such a firm believer in that. Like, I wish I learned some things, you know, like anchoring. It took me a very long time of just sitting there and watching other people. No, I needed somebody to stand there and say, this is where we anchor. This is why we anchor. These are the different anchors that you can choose. Let's try them. Let's see what works for you, versus all over the place. Lose your confidence, lose arrows, break arrows, just basic things like that. I believe that if you can learn the basics of archery the right way the first time, if you invest in that, you have that foundation that is solid. You know about safety. Safety is so important in archery. You don't just pick up a bow and aim and shoot. You know what I mean? There's certain things that we do a certain way. You need to learn that from the beginning. And then once you have that, then build. And I'm a firm believer in having goals, but I'm also a firm believer in having realistic goals. You know, like if you want to be getting your next pin, you need to start working slowly, one thing at a time. It doesn't just happen. Some people, it happens, but for most people, it takes time. And that's the beauty of archery. It really makes you understand the concept of consistency. It really makes you understand the concept of focusing, shutting everything out and just being in that moment, being present. And your arrows will never lie to you, you know? And that's what I learned. So I would pay the extra to get good quality coaching. Even if you just have a conversation with the coach and they say, could you just help me out for 2 weeks, two sessions, and you learn, this is how we string a bow. This is why we string a bow like this. This is what's happening to your bow. You really need to understand that. I never knew any of that. I was just like, there's a stringer, this is a stringer, put it together. Like, what? Wait, oh my goodness. And I was so scared to string my bow because I thought it was going to hit me. Like I didn't understand pull. I didn't understand muscles. There's so many different things, And the other thing is, don't do the rush of pounds, more poundage, more poundage, more poundage. I don't believe in that. I believe that you should listen to your body. And I believe that you should focus on your form and you should move slowly. Archery is like this very slow, beautiful dance. You're just working into it. And then once you're there and you find your sweet spot, you're there. You're not going to be like, oh, I started archery, I'm going to start shooting 40 pounds because it's going to get the arrow to 50 meters faster. Oh, but in a month and a half, you don't have a shoulder. You need surgery. Start with your 20 pounds. Can you do that? Do these exercises, start building up to it, right? Like Michael Phelps didn't just jump in the deep end and it started small, little by little, little by little.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's great advice. Hey, we're just wrapping up here. If people want to get hold of you, or they want to follow you, how can they do that?
So I am on Instagram, but I'm not on Instagram. I'm getting better at my social media, but I am African Archer 8 on Instagram, and they can see me at different tournaments. I'll be shooting this weekend in Tucson. So excited. I'll be at nationals. I'll be at field. So I have a few fun tournaments coming up, and they can check me out on your podcast, which I'm so excited about. Thank you so much, Mick, for having me and for thinking about me and letting me have an opportunity to really talk about what I love to do. Sometimes I can be very private within my archery. I just go in, do my job, and move on. So this is a great opportunity for me to chat with people, to let them know that where I am, why I am, where I want to go. Yeah. And if ever anybody is at a tournament, feel free to come and chat. Barebow or, we're the fun guys.
Okay. That's so true. That is so true. That's so true. And it's been a pleasure to have you on. It was great hearing your story. It's amazing. You're an amazing role model. Thank you for everything that you do for archery and promoting single string archery. I love it. And barebow in particular. So anyway, everyone, thanks very much for listening. Really appreciate your support, and go check her out. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. We're good?